Welcome to the $1 Million Career. I'm Rob Houghton with Craig Picken, my returning guest host. We're going to talk about quiet firing today. And we talked about this a little bit last week when we talked about quiet hiring and quiet quitting. But quiet firing, I think, is the most interesting recent trend because I'm not really sure who's at fault here. Who really is getting fired? So anyways, Craig, what are your thoughts on quiet firing?
Well, I think I think everybody's passive aggressive right now. You talk about quiet quitting, people saying, well, I'm just going to do the minimum to get by. And I'm like, well, look, if you're at that point in your life where all you're willing to do is put in the minimum, go find something else. Don't be just call us, call it and say, this ain't working for me.
Yeah.
And put some effort into your life to go find something you're passionate about or something you do want to do.
Yeah.
I think quiet firing is kind of the same thing. It's kind of the antithesis of quiet quitting. It's when, somebody gets put in the corner, they don't get any projects, their boss doesn't say hello to them, it's everybody, knows that they're kind of there biding their time. It's almost like you hope they select people, the company or whoever their boss is hoping they just self-select out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if someone's not making it for you, just fire them.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that people should be on the lookout for. So I'm mostly a candidate advocate, as you've probably seen over the recent months. I'm always thinking about, how do things look from the candidate's perspective, not necessarily the hiring authority. And I want to communicate to these people, first of all, how to recognize that one is being quietly fired. How do you know if you're becoming a victim of this quiet firing? And some of the things I thought about were one-to-one meetings. Okay, all of a sudden you find that you're not being invited to one-to-one meetings with one of your superiors or a visiting client. Maybe you're being cut out of meetings. The coaching is not there anymore. The guy in the corner office, who used to always insist that, hey, Rob, my door's open. Stop down sometime. And you stop down and he's essentially coaching you or mentoring you or giving you some tips on how to succeed. That's no longer happening. You're being cut out of after hours happy hour,
Yep.
I had a candidate tell me last week, he's like, I don't know what's going on here, Rob, but maybe I ought to start looking for a job. And I said, why is that? And he said, because it's the strangest thing. I'm doing a great job, but for some reason, I seem to be getting cut out of things. Like I didn't get invited to the happy hour last Friday. That I found out subsequently that there was a regional meeting that I used to get invited to, no longer, received the invitation for that. And I'm thinking, maybe I'm getting quietly fired.
Could be. Demotions, big companies, like big companies, they demote people.
Really?
Yeah. It's like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you, I used to hear about Sikorsky helicopter.
Really?
I was like, yeah, like I would talk to these guys and go, yeah, Joe, Joe, somebody or another, he got demoted, kind of, whatever. I'm like, wow.
I know that happens.
And I
in the
quit.
military,
I would
but
never, it's like demotion.
how the hell do you get demoted? I mean, in the military, okay, you go from E6 to an E5 if you're
Yeah, but that's because
curfew. But how do you get demoted though, man?
Yeah, no, you go from director to manager, or you get put in a job that's, you went from vice president to a job that's been held by a director, and it's that's a quiet firing right there. I mean, it's that's so that I think that's kind of what's going on, is that when you sense the seasons are changing.
How about in law enforcement? I've trained with a lot of people in law enforcement, national law enforcement. I'm not going to mention any of the names of these organizations, but the guy that he's settled into Northern Virginia, settled in around New York, working at one of the big field offices or something. And next thing you know, he gets reassigned to a Navajo Indian reservation in North Dakota for 3 years.
There you go. Salespeople.
Quiet firing, right?
How about a salesperson who just got their territory cut?
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
You
How
know,
about the pro football guy who goes to work, he's on the 53-man squad.
yeah,
He wakes up Monday morning and his wife says, "Hey, honey, we just got an email. You're on the practice squad now."
yeah.
What?
There you
Yeah,
go.
you're on the freaking taxi squad now.
That's right. So, there's a lot of ways that people get, you talk about quiet quitting, and I think like I'm not on I'm not on the person side of the house, and I'm not on the company side of the house. I'm on the common sense side of the house. And, I'm very critical of companies. I think I think when times are running good, like you've been reading Wall Street at all?
I read the Wall Street Journal
And
every day.
day,
Like, hang out for my-
and you see what's happening to Google. CEO of Google gets up in an all hands meeting and he's like, "Hey, look, we're going to start having cuts. Good times ain't rolling right now. Stock's on its ass. The good times aren't rolling. Revenues are down, and we're going to start holding people accountable." And they've already said, it's like, they're taking some people off projects, and they're saying,
Yeah,
go reapply for another job. If you're being asked to reapply to something, you just got quietly fired. That's it. You just got quietly fired.
yeah.
And I think what they called it was like the 30 days to go find a new job in the company.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
And the answer is, if people are in the company, if the people in the company aren't jumping up and down and going, that person, I can have that person, I can have that person, I can have that person over in my division. If you're scrambling on that 30-day notice and praying, you just got quietly fired. They just didn't want to tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the opposite viewpoint. So again, from the candidate side, I think employers now have to be really careful. Employers, hiring authorities, HR people, supervisors have to be really, really careful about sending the wrong signals, because the employees, the workers, the staff, they're more sensitive now because of the quiet firing and the quiet hiring. People are like really paying attention now to how they're being treated. And I know that there's a lot of supervisors out there that are just too busy. They're distracted and they're not taking care of the people that are doing a good job. So I think if they're not careful, if they're not, giving useful and thoughtful performance reviews and inviting these people for coaching, that a lot of these employees are going to perceive this as being quietly fired because they're no longer being paid attention to. And everybody knows now that companies are trying to do more with less people. So what happens is people are so damn distracted and so focused on their own stuff, they forget about their direct reports. And I think this quiet firing and also quiet hiring is and quiet quitting is a shot across it's a shot across the bow, because people are just paying more attention now.
Well, I think there's two things. One, shocker, that we've become a very litigious society. And now that, politics has invaded every corner of business, a lot of times it's just easier to put somebody, from a company standpoint, it's just easier to put somebody in a corner and let them self-select out, eventually just self-select out, than it is to fire them. Because you just don't, if you fire somebody for, yes, you have all these at will, employment. But if you lay somebody off, or if you fire them or whatever, all of a sudden now you're being set up for lawsuits unless you do it very, very, very carefully. And a lot of small businesses just, can't do that.
But,
So
I mean, a lot of it is just being recognized,
Yeah.
Simply just recognizing somebody for a job well done can go a long way in preventing somebody from going into that quiet quitting mode,
Yeah.
Don't you think, or what?
I think, look, here's what I think. I think that people who quietly quit, to me, it's, once again, in life, it's the people that, the people that suffer the most are the people who want to get by with the minimum. Because if you're doing the minimum, you don't have a cushion underneath you. It's like, I'll do the minimum. I'll do my job. I'll show up at 9. I'll leave at 5. I won't put in any extra effort. I won't show anybody. But those are the people who, when times get tough, what happens when recessions come? Travel gets cut back immensely. Swag gets cut back immensely. Frivolous company benefits get cut back immensely. And the people who are on the margin, look, I remember the Great Recession. And what I remember about the Great Recession was I was busy. And you think as being an executive recruiter,
Yeah, exactly
you
right.
think in a recession, you wouldn't be busy at all. But
Yeah,
I
so-
was busy. And here is why I was busy. Because companies were calling me up saying, we're gonna get rid of 3 mediocre performers. We want you to find us one superstar
Yeah,
who's going to grow with us,
the right kind of guy.
the right kind of person.
Yeah.
And that's it. We want the right kind of person. And companies were willing to pay me a service charge for that, and they were willing to go find the right person. And they were saying, "Hey, look, we're gonna offload $450,000 worth of salaries to hire you. What do you want? What do you? And man, if you were an A player, you're golden."
Did you know that I was just reading in the Wall Street Journal on Friday, I think it was, there's a big article about this. It was very, very interesting. They've shown that job postings that companies put on the internet now, like a LinkedIn, those job postings that use words like fast growing, challenging, right? Do you know what I'm going to say, right?
I read that article.
The people are looking at this thinking to myself, I'm not sure I want that job, because what this sounds like is like they cut 3 people and they want to hire one person. And that's why it's very challenging, because I'm going to be doing the work of multiple people.
There's a guy,
It's true, right? Yeah. It was right there. If it was in the Wall Street Journal, it's got to be true.
Yeah, no, they're like, people are like, they read the code. It says fast-paced environment.
Exactly.
And people are like, I want to apply for that job because it means I got to work my butt off. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, now you're looking at it from a different perspective, right? I could see people looking like that, but I'm looking at the other side of the same coin, with people looking at that thinking, oh, I'm just going to get exploited in this thing. These guys probably, I'm probably doing the work of like 2 or 3 people. It's all how you look at it,
Yeah, you know what? But there's a negotiating point there.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But here's the thing. If people were to sit there and look back and go, all right, you're talking to me, you got problems, and we're in this interview, and it comes out to, oh, you got problems? You got, you pick your problems. Your sales are off. You're not making on-time delivery. Your quality sucks. You want me to fix all that, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, what's it worth it? If I fix that,
Exactly right.
what's it worth to you? How much? Like $10 million. All right. Well, so if I get it all fixed, it's worth $10 million to you on the revenue side at $20 million, at 20% EBIT. That's $2 million of profit. So you're willing to pay me, a base and a very nice bonus and some performance upside, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you just shut up and let the other person on the other side of the table either stammer or go, yep, that's what we'll do. Because that's the answer right there. It's like, well, what do you need?
That's one of the things we talked about this probably several years ago. And I know I wrote a blog on this, and that is the most powerful interview question a candidate can ask an HR person or a hiring authority is simply, what can I do in the next 6 months that'll make you and your company look really, really good? And then you put your finger in your mouth and you sit there and you listen to what they have to say. If there's no coherent answer, that's not the right firm. It's not the right kind of firm. Okay.
Yep.
But if they tell you, hey, if you could solve this particular problem in 6 months and save us $2.2 million, whether it be a client focused issue or a product issue, then you should be saying, okay, great. If I can do that, could I get a bonus?
Yeah.
Could I get 5% of those savings? And then in a lot of cases, the hiring authority or the person interviewing you has no choice but to say, yeah, if you can actually do that, I'll give you that 5 or 10%. Okay, let's put it in the offer letter.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of candidates who have made a lot of money off that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the way to handle. Yeah, that's the way to handle it. It's like, people ask me, I go, why did I go on? Why did I go start my own business? It's like, well, I was at the point in my life where I was ready to go do something different. And every time I talked to a company, they're like, you come to work for us and make $150,000. Like, well, $150,000, go make that on my own. What do I need you for?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. But this is the difference between people who are asking for jobs, hire me, put me in, coach, let me play, let me show you what I can do. And the people who are like, what you need on-time delivery, quality, and production fixed. All right, I'll fix that for you. How much you going to pay me to do it? That's the other question. How much you going to pay me to do it? Those are not the people that are getting quietly fired.
Yeah. The other thing about quietly being fired is, I think if more, and you touched on this, there's a lot of legal reasons and there's a lot of woke reasons and being politically correct and all that bullshit. But I think the lesson here is also that hiring authorities and supervisors really owe it to themselves, their company, and to the individual employee to confront the issue.
Yeah.
If you think a guy's loafing around, if you think somebody's taking long lunches, if you think somebody's really not going above and beyond the call of duty, instead of quietly firing the guy or the gal, bring them into your office and have an honest conversation with them, because you know what? Maybe that person doesn't realize they aren't up to snuff. Maybe the management by objectives, the objectives have not been properly communicated up and down the chain of command. Maybe he doesn't really know what he's supposed to do. Maybe he doesn't know what the sensitive projects are. Maybe he doesn't know what he's supposed to do because his hiring authority is too damn lazy to really take the time to communicate it both orally and written. So maybe some of these guys should, stop quietly firing people and actually show some courage and communicate to the person, here's what you're doing wrong, man.
Boom.
And if you don't shape up in the next 30 to 60, 90 days, you're out.
Boom.
It takes a little bit of courage, but that's what people should be doing instead of quietly firing bullshit.
Well, that's the whole thing. I was sitting at lunch with my wife, and we were talking, saying we were going to come on and talk. She goes, quietly firing is the most passive aggressive thing you can do.
Yeah.
I go, welcome to the world. Welcome to the world. No, where nobody has the courage to do anything. Now here's the reality of the matter. If you are a leader in a business and you're quietly firing somebody, you sit back and you scratch your head a little bit and you go, why did I hire this person in the first place?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so you hired them and you just said it. Maybe the leadership is bad.
Absolutely.
And then you as a leader, you go down and you say, I'm missing it. When I hired you, you were enthusiastic to work here. I was enthusiastic to have you here. We were going to do great things together. We're not. We're missing. What is lacking in this relationship from my standpoint? Did I not give you the objectives? Did I not tell you the way? Is my leadership style chaotic, something that you don't understand?
Right. And
you have a very one-on-one conversation. And it's at least it's honest conversation. And then you can sit there and say, hey, this is, this relationship is either going to work or it's not going to work.
I looked in back of me because I was looking for my book, Jocko Willink, Extreme Ownership. That's just what this thing comes down to.
Yeah.
Particularly if you are a leader in your organization, chances are, let's face it, if you're a hiring authority, if you have direct reports, you're a de facto leader. You can have manager in your title.
Yep.
But you got to be leading, man.
Well, that's the difference. Yeah.
And extreme ownership is like, if somebody is not doing well, you got to get in there and dig around and find out like what happened. And it may come down to it's both your faults. But as a leader, you should be learning from these experiences. Like, why didn't this work? Maybe I didn't communicate well. Maybe I didn't lead by example. Maybe I wasn't on top of things.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, but
That's
that's
just
it.
my thought, you know what I mean?
But as a person too, you understand, like, my life, look, I'm on the phone all the time. I got so many hours in a workday. And I'm not going to dedicate my hours in the workday to the person. And you have the same people who are calling you, every 9 months. Yeah. Oh, I wasn't getting along with my boss. Oh, this didn't work out. Oh, I just don't know if I want to be here. You've got those people calling you all the time and they
Yeah,
suck the time out of you
yeah,
and they suck the energy out of it. I want to worry about people who, you know, want to kick butt, be it businesses who are like, man, we're ready to take off, go help us find the right person, or executives who are like, man, I'm ready to go take the thing to the next level. I want to go make a pile of money. Here's what I can do. Those are the people I want to talk with. I don't want to be talking to
there's a,
the average time sucker who can't get their own stuff together, but yet want me to figure it out for them. And I think that's kind of but that's the same thing in business.
yeah,
Managers and leaders are going to dedicate their efforts to the people who want to be there, and who are going to take the business to the next level. If
yeah,
that's not you, go sit in the corner.
yeah,
You're 9 to 5. Tell the world that you're there for the money and the paycheck, and move on.
yeah. No, I mean, I think that's well said. We're all looking for the right kind of guy,
Yeah.
But yeah, so my take on this quiet firing is simply, it's a two-way street.
Mhm.
People have to recognize that you're being quietly fired so that you can take corrective action.
Mhm.
People shouldn't have to do that, but unfortunately in this society now, passive aggressiveness rules.
Mhm.
So one of the reasons why I did the blog and why I want to talk to you is I think people have to be aware of their
Yep.
surroundings and aware that maybe I'm being quietly fired, because then you can take corrective action. You can call
Yeah.
people like you or me. And then the other side of it is employers and hiring authorities have to take responsibility. They have to own their own hires. And maybe they're being quietly fired because it's something they did wrong. So it's a two-way street. So
Yep.
that's all I have to say.
Yeah, here's the reality. Here's the best example. I'm gonna give you the best example of quiet firing. Jamie Dimon's doing it right now. Goldman Sachs is doing it right now. If you want to work here, you're back in the office.
Yeah,
We're bringing people. It's the RTO, return to office. And if you don't want to return to office, go somewhere else. And you know who's coming to the office is the A's who want to be there, who want to make money, who want to go, do things in their career. And the people who are not coming back to the office are the people who, are the people who are going, I can work from home. Yeah, it's like, whatever.
well, that assumes that these people live the same distance. What about the people that were hired that live 2 hours away?
Yeah. No,
Are
I
they
hear
going to
you.
return to the office too, or what? Yeah.
I don't know, but and my sense is that's kind of the message now that you're here in Microsoft and you're hearing you're hearing a lot of companies saying, hey, we're back in the office. Times are about ready to get tough. We're all back in the office. I think that's kind of their way of allowing people to select out, and how that affects them from a talent standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Here's how I see that going. So I'm starting to see that a lot in the insurance business. I see that they're not necessarily requiring people that they hired that live 2.5 hours away to come back into the office,
right.
because obviously they're gonna have to sell their house and buy that ain't gonna happen, right? But I think what's happened is the people, as you say, that voluntarily go back into the office, they have a huge advantage now over the people
Yep.
that are working remotely, because you've got to show up, So I go back to my middle son again. He works for Lockheed. Even during the pandemic, the only people that were in those offices were the senior executives,
Right.
and they were spread out all over the place. But just because of who he is, a Green Beret, he's a very determined individual. He would still go into the office. I don't think he went in every day, but he would go in several times a week.
Yep.
And I think he's been promoted 3 times in the last 18 months or 2 years or something, because he was the only guy who was in the office. So he got a chance to know everybody. Everybody knows him. All these other people are strung out, working all over the place. So it is a huge advantage for
90
people to get back into the office now. Huge advantage.
90% of life is just showing up.
Who said that? Yogi Bear?
Yogi Berra.
Yogi Bear?
Just 90% of life is
Yeah.
just showing up. It comes
Showing
back
up.
to
Yeah.
comes back to the conferences that look, I'll spend $30,000 on conferences this year. What happens when you go to a conference? You go see people. You
Show up, man.
Show up. You show up. When you show up to the gym, I'll tell you where I've done more networking is in the gym, at the hotel gym at 7 o'clock in the morning, actually 6:30 in the morning before the conference, versus the bar at midnight. It's
Of course, yeah.
show up. Yeah. Where do you need to be? Where do you need to go? But that's life. It's just showing up.
Yeah, yeah. And that's how you can, we'll put that under the category of preventative measures from getting quietly fired.
Yeah, but I'm not a big believer in that. Like the quiet firing thing, it's happening. And I think it's as dishonest
Of course it is.
as quiet quitting. Because I think
You're exactly right.
Because I think it's dishonest, because if you want to be a leader of a business, that means you need to have tough conversations.
Yeah.
And having tough conversations means being honest with people every step of the way.
Yeah.
And if you can't be honest and you're just praying,
Yeah.
Hope is not a strategy.
Right.
And I just think it's dishonest. So
Yeah, I think, yeah. So to sum it all up, quiet hiring, I should say, quiet firing and quiet quitting, both sides of the same coin, both with equal accountability. So, hey, Craig, how do people get a hold of you anyways?
Oh, people can always get a hold of me on my, Craig at northstaresg.com. I'm all over LinkedIn. Shoot me an email. Call me 910-509-7129 on the office. And
You've had some pretty damn good LinkedIn posts, man. What's the latest one? You've got like 7,000 or 8,000 hits on that.
Just talked about non-compete agreements, non-competes. The world is getting all whacked out when you start seeing really stupid non-competes.
Good.
I'm starting to see some stupid non-competes. So
very good, man.
And that's when we'll do a podcast on that one. Next podcast we'll do is on non-compete.
Really? Non-competes? Great.
We'll do it.
Non-solicitations too. Non-competes.
Non-competes are the thing. Non-solicitations don't scare me as much as non-competes. So
yeah, that'll be an interesting topic. So we'll do that next time. All right, Craig. Well,
come on.
Thanks a lot, man. Have a great weekend with your great family. Glad to see Texas Tech finally won one.
Get the guns up, horns down. All right, buddy. We'll see you.
See you next week, man.